experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo experience on the road for the Cognizant Classic Picks, Bets, One and Done. Jeff, if this was the Mexico Open last week, we probably wouldn't have done a show, but we're back at PGA National, a tournament we love. So here I am in a very poorly lit hotel room.
Oh my God. Nothing could symbolize how much we love this event more than you doing this show. You do this, right? Like you've earned this vacation. Football season is nonstop. We do the start of golf. Pat usually dips away with the wife, get away from the kids. Yeah, Mexico, we're not doing it. But this event, it's an oblo. Like it's an absolute oblo. I love it. I can't wait to talk about it. When the favorite is 20-1 and I don't give a fuck about that player, these are my favorite betting boards.
I was actually shocked to open the betting board this morning because I had done the research show that's out, although I didn't have the full field at the time when I had done it because I had done it like last Wednesday before I left. And I was shocked to see Spieth added to the field and then to see the odds themselves. Like, oh yeah, Shane Lowry's going to be like 14-1 or something stupid like that. But it seems pretty fair down the board, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, Shane Lowry hasn't won without Rory in years. And he is as untrustable on a clutch putt that isn't in the Ryder Cup as any players we like to make fun of. Truth be told, for a guy with an Open championship, it's a damning indictment. I don't give a shit. I'd rather bet Shane Lowry at like 80, which I never do in a full field, than 20 as a horse at an event that he's built up as like his thing. Like he's built it up as being important to him, which maybe you could say could help. And we could talk about how, I mean, this week symbolizes some of the problems on the PGA Tour. It gives NBA vibes of like laziness and lack of compete when a third of the great players on the planet are within 12 minutes of this place and they don't even care. They don't even care to throw a bone. Who gives a shit they got to play next week and the week after? It's fucking golf.
They got TGL commitments.
I forgot about that. Hey, flowers to TGL. Great week last week. The momentum that we did send out a poll. Like, will this thing, I know the year 3 question isn't fair right now, but I think they've done something. In the moment, I'm got to give them their flowers because it's resonating, and they like football Monday or Tuesdays when there's no football, the season's over in less than a month. It's going to be this really compact thing that when it ends, I think we're all going to be like, that was pretty freaking good. Good on them. It's not going to be like long-winded and roll like trail the whole season. It's just short, compact, winter time, the worst of winter thing. And right now they're getting flowers from me. And I didn't think I'd be giving them flowers. I didn't. I openly dislike Liv and this thing. But this thing is doing something right.
Lowry's plus 425 to come inside the top 5. That's probably the bet, isn't it?
Yeah, sure. If you trust,
if people
like
want to bet
Shane
Lowry,
Lowry,
he's come inside the top 5 each of the past 3 years.
Yeah, of course. The thing about Shane Lowry, Pat, is when my guy, who's like 65-1, is head to head with him, are you afraid? No? Like if you draw Shane Lowry on Sunday, might as well, right? Like I don't care. There's no one I could bet in this field that Shane Lowry would scare me if they got into a Sunday duel.
Yeah, you feel like just with his, like, he has big wins historically throughout his career. So he would be the favorite in all those situations. But I think I'm with you that no, I wouldn't be sweating it. Like he'd do something really stupid.
Yeah, or it was a famous afraid of rain.
Well, okay,
but all those guys.
That was this tournament when he lost to Straka, 2 years ago. And it was somewhat unfair to Lowry. He was the only guy that had to play in the rain. It just started raining when he was on the fairway.
And if you live in Florida or spent any time there, like, yeah, you could get a pop-up cell and it can just blast you for like 25 minutes. And Lowry was finishing during it. So, yeah, fairness to him, but we'll get into it. But all those guys sort of like behind him, even I would like more than him. But, guys like Lowry and Henley, other people can have them. I got no interest.
I mean, we'll get into it when we get to the section. You can always use the time codes for this when we jump to
Oh, yeah,
the Cognizant, aka the Honda. I think I would actually have more faith. Henley feels like he's been building towards a win for a while. Like he's been so close at big tournaments that he's going to pick one of these ones off.
I agree, but the whole like building towards thing, I don't know.
But
Like I
you didn't
agree
think
with that. I just mean it's not like a betting angle sometimes for me. It just seems like the longer it goes, the harder it can be. I mean, granted, we'll talk about what happened this
yeah.
past weekend in terms of it going a long time, but yeah, no, I'm sure the model is like Henley is like I don't even want to use such a derogatory term, but Henley is destroying models. I can
No,
assume.
he's not actually not so far this season. Although he has two top tens at the Sony and at Pebble, but he's only playing like he's played four events. Three of them have been signature events.
Really? Because I know last year it got to the point where, like, you're not you don't have to be a math guy to look at a model, but like the model bros, like, couldn't avoid, like, kept running into Henley disappointment. I'm sure they'll be right back on the horse this week.
Well, and it depends on what you call like Henley disappointment too. I think he had like I don't know 13 top 20 finishes and 17
Maybe the
starts or
best
something like that.
DraftKings player of the year, right?
Yeah, like and he would
Yeah,
just and every
yeah.
week he just gained so much on approach, and he would do it in every type of tournament. Like he was fourth at the Masters, he was 14th at the U.S. Open. Like he showed up in big tournaments, just didn't sniff a win in any of them.
And hey, Henley's gotten us before, shitty field many years ago, right? Right before the Masters, low numbers. So yeah, if you're a Henley guy, that's your thing. But as someone that like never bets Henley, I don't care. Like I can look right through it. And if he finally gets me, uh-oh, like, once in 5 years, I'll accept it.
Yeah, I mean he hasn't won this tournament specifically in 11 years. It's been a while for him.
And I've been thinking about the conversation we had last week where you enlightened me, maybe that like the blind perceptions that even I still sometimes hold with PJ National aren't maybe accurate. Like you want guys who can full send it. Now, granted, that might get you
In
miscut
trouble.
and an explosion, but in trying to pick a winner, yeah, that seems like you want to get a full sender and pray to God he's playing from, clean second shots for 4 days or most
Yeah,
of
well,
4 days.
and when you roll it back the other way, you had someone like Eckroat, for example, who won last year, and like he legit just hit every fairway. He hit to the middle of the fairway every single time, hit it to the center of the green, and just made his putts 30% of the time, and that was good enough to get him there. Like you can go about it. Like if you gain so many strokes because you're so deadly accurate, like that can play here. Like Henley's not a big hitter, but he generally does gain off the tee. Not so much so far this season, but he's also playing in tournaments with guys who like when you're playing with Scheffler, who's like the 17th longest player, but also hits top 10 in accuracy. That dude's going to gain a bunch on approach on driving every single week. And then Henley, where he doesn't bomb it out a ton, he's going up against Scheffler and Rory and Xander. And like Morikawa is another example of this. Guys that gain a lot off the tee because they're not short, but they're like average, but hit every single fairway. Sungjae is another one. Lowry is actually weirdly another one here. So you can be a shorter hitter, but you still need to be able to gain off the tee. And then if you like take the Keith Mitchells of the world, the Brookses of the world, the Woodlands of the worlds, guys that have done really well at this tournament in the past, if you can find that bomber who is somewhat accurate, it's like a cheat code for the scores.
I mean, yeah, my card will be a total mixed bag because I will have those types of I will have bombers, but they'll be I'm not betting Eric Cole, but they'll be surrounded by an Eric Cole, a Ben Griffin type could be on my card. Griffin far more likely than Cole, but yeah, that whole like 40 to 60 range, I'm in for an eclectic mix of profiles.
Well, I want to remind everyone who's here right now to smash a like to the channel or to this episode, sub to Mayo Media Network on YouTube, and if you leave a comment, you pick me a winner down in the description, and you get into a draw for a free year, Jeffrey, of fantasynational.com. Or You can just go to fantasynational.com/Mayo, get yourself 20% off now. Run some of those models, generate your lineups, use the simulator, and if you win, you'll get your year comped anyway. So you might as well go do it now and then get in the draw for the free one. So you can put that down in the YouTube comment section. You can also put that on Apple. You can put that on Spotify. That'll really help us out at this time of the year. And I may have some exciting giveaways coming along very soon. And when we talk about TGL, I think that people need to be playing Underdog TGL. It's a cheat code.
I have no, other than the week one Bay match, I have not bet TGL, but I've seen a lot of my buddies, even casual friends, have like found a lane and have done really good at it. Like I've even got
I bet this team. I bet this team called the Bay every time that they play, and I win.
yeah, and I got a buddy who just like fades Kevin Kisner on like whole matchups. He tells me he's like killing it.
Yeah, so that's case. So code Mayo at Underdog right now will get you a deposit bonus of up to $1,000. So you can use that $1,000. There's best ball drafts coming up. We're going to be doing a bunch for major season and the return, and I think we're going to have a Pat Mayo experience like no rake custom draft to go along with it. But there's a like now that the teams are announced, if you go on to Underdog, I can't from Dominican Republic. There is no Underdog here, just like there's no DraftKings here. So there's no DraftKings show with Tambo this week. It's actually me and Keith Stewart, like 99 minutes of just talking about the PGA Tour and stuff that he's seen because he went to the last 4 tournaments before Mexico. Just stuff he's noticed from inside the ropes. I was just sitting back and just listening to Keith tell stories. I thought it was awesome. But with the Underdog matchups, like just look at the individual holes because it works. It's not like they haven't caught on, but like Rory doesn't win any. Like, what's the most common outcome on Underdog for a TGL head-to-head hole where you only play 2 of them? You only play 2 singles holes guaranteed. There's no more. There's no less. You get 2. Most of them are draws, right? Like you have a hole.
Common outcome, yeah.
Yeah, so you just take the unders on everyone and you win.
Makes sense.
Just hope they don't like play Kevin Kisner. That happened to me last time. I was like, oh, I'll just fade Ricky. And it's like, oh no, Ricky goes up against Kevin Kisner and wins. So that's never good. Or it's Fitzpatrick, one of those ones. But you can find it out if you just play enough of them, even if like you combo them together, then you'll actually have a nice run on TGL for those under holes 1 individual holes for TGL on Underdog. It was just one of like the weird like outs that I saw. If you use code Mayo, you get that bonus money. Put it in action that way. I think we put it off long enough. I can't tell. Like, I felt stupid for not having Pot Gaita on my betting card last week after being all over him at Torrey Pines and then saying that Torrey Pines in Mexico are basically like Torrey Pines South and Torrey Pines Easy. The fact that I bet Jagger at both events, I bet Pot Gaiter, and then didn't bet them last week. I felt like such a moron. But I think it worked out better for me that I didn't have him because I would have had my heart ripped out. And I know so many people watching, listening, whatever, had him, and that it was brutal. I didn't have money on it, and it was still brutal.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say something like relative to some like natural disaster, but like thoughts and prayers. Like that was fucking gross. And I think it was one of the most tipped like golfers ever. So we all knew lots of people. I, like you, Pat, wasn't on him, but it still hurt. I was able to enjoy the magic of the other guy winning more, right? Because like I didn't just lose a handful of cash, so it made me not like want to turn the TV off and like actually enjoy some of the stories that have come out about Campbell. But I just feel for those guys. All I can say to them is you saw the board very clear, and don't be discouraged because most of our friends got to get up and look at Honda odds, and hopefully they have clear eyes when doing that. So it's like a very, I don't know. Yeah. There's no words. That was insane. That was like, Pat, you hit that shot. If you know the course, you know it's gone. If you don't know the course, you ask your buddy who knows the course, is there a chance we can find it? But if you do know the course, you're literally turning around asking someone for a ball, so you don't have to walk back to the cart. Like that's how gone that is if you know the course. I don't know, what are we supposed to say? The kid missed 2 3-footers, so you feel bad, and Potty hit everything. But it when you lose like a hundred. It wasn't. I don't know. I guess there might have been some hundreds on the early DraftKings. But when you
Yeah,
lose a number,
it was mainly 80, I think.
yeah,
80 to
70,
1.
80. Let's call it 70, 80. 70 maybe on the go off. It's just still huge. When you lose that sort of bet to a guy you've never heard of, that painfully, like I don't even know what to say about that. Like I was distraught for a year that DJ lost to Ted Potter Jr. in a duel. And I knew who Ted Potter was. And that was like a duel. Not a duel, it ended kind of quick. But I'm just saying, like, I couldn't even believe that. I put in our group thread, I've never heard of this guy. On Friday night, I never heard of him. Is that bad, guys? I never heard of him.
Well, I was talking to Baroff over the week, like going into Sunday, because I was like, man, if Nikolai shoots like the pot guider around from yesterday, maybe he can sneak out a win here. And he didn't even need that if he wanted to win. If he had just shot 8 under, he would have won the tournament. But he kept missing 3-foot putts too, so that was no fun. But I looked at the leaderboard and I just looked at the odds. I was like, this Campbell guy is going to win. Literally everyone else inside the top 10 will make people money. Because like it was all the like Smalley, Hojgaard, Potgeider, Jagger, Rye,
Right. Yeah.
even like
Right.
Michael Kim, and then there's Brian Campbell at like plus 200. It's like, oh, that guy's gonna win. That means everyone loses.
No, that doesn't 300 to 1. And I saw a guy with 40 bucks on 270 to 1.
Nice, nice hit.
Yeah, he goes by shit. It's like his handle was a movie character. I forgot Hyman, or not a movie character. I mean, it's become a movie character, but Hyman Roth, famous mobster. My only response, the guy didn't respond to me. I go, "Are you friends? Is he a cousin? Is he a friend of a friend? Does his brother live next door to you? Like my buddy lives next door to Ben Silverman's brother, and that's Ben Silverman because of that? Like, I don't even 300 is not enough. It wouldn't have been enough. Sky, Bear Off, any one of our friends, Pat, could have texted me, bet this Campbell guy 600 to 1. My response would have been, I've got my own losers. No, thank you. Right? Like, I wouldn't have taken it at 7. I've never heard of him. And 2000, he was low am, Pat, the year that Jordan Spieth won Chambers Bay. Do you know where Chambers Bay is in my memory? It doesn't exist. It is like the worst swamp donkey slump buster I ever had to hit. It doesn't exist. It is out of memory. I don't know the ceremony from Chambers Bay. I don't know anything that happened there. If I want to think about Chambers Bay, it's Tiger waving or telling a train to be quiet and Grace yelling,
Grace.
"Get lucky." That's it. Everything else there I've chosen to forget for life. For life. So I don't know anything about him. I had no memory of this Loam.
When it first came up and I saw like Campbell on the leaderboard, I thought it was Chad Campbell, who might be 60 years old. I don't know.
The moment I knew this guy is on Friday, he was playing well. And not that I ever considered even betting it, but I saw a stale 50 after he just made like another eagle or something. And other books had adjusted to like 20 or 25. And I'm like, I'm not betting on it. I don't care how stale a number is. It's still Friday. But the fact that it was only like that was my first indication that his starting number must have been way lower than I could have ever imagined for him to still only be paying 50 like an hour into his Friday round. Has this ever happened? We've been doing this 11 years. A guy we've never heard of, had no idea who he is, winning.
I guess when Lashley won,
We knew him.
we knew he was the Monday
qualified.
Q. Yeah, he had been playing a bit before that, but he won the Monday Q and then he won the Rocket Mortgage. Outside of like an alt event or like a weirdo swing season event, no, I actually can't recall it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. That's the first, and I'm gut wrenched for dudes who got by it. Like forgetting the tree factor, getting got by this guy under any circumstance, none in a million years. Is that? I mean, I guess like when you cap any golf tournament, you are like blindly fading the field. And by the field, I mean like the lower third that you don't even like give any sort of respect to for winning. And that's part of it. That's part of the equation. But I'm sorry. I feel bad talking about it. I haven't even sent like I got but like some guys had like probably huge clips. Let's just say
Yeah,
like our heavy rollers, like heavy. So you heard I mean, I guess you had a free chance at a hedge. So
you
like if
did. If you wanted to take the hedge, you could have taken it
but
because I
there's a
think
par five.
And
Like
Potgeiter
potties.
was in the playoff. Potgeiter was minus 140 on standing on the tee, and Campbell was plus 115 or something like that. Like it wasn't even a full hedge to get the full hedge.
Yeah, I guess they're still plus money. And I get it. Like, but you're on the par five. And people are blaming the caddy,
Why?
Pat.
I mean, he made both shots he hit into the like from the fairway into the green or from the rough into the green. Like they just missed. Like he would have been like 2 feet for eagle. He just rolled into the bunker.
I don't know. Yeah, there's something that I'm not so hard. There are people that were really hard on the caddy. There was an exchange that we did here before he hit it into the bunker. And the caddy was a little uncertain about the number to the back. And Potty's like, I think I can just clear the bunker if I like fully get it. And that was the shot. He was trying to hit too perfect of a shot. Like, all that being said, is I think the complaint from the caddy thing was like, dude, this is now your third time in a row playing the hole. You don't know the number. Like, the number to the back should now be like, you should know everything about this hole now, caddy. Like everything. There shouldn't be second guessing. So I guess that was it. But I saw people complaining earlier about the caddy. I don't know. I mean, listen, it's an eye test thing. And chipping, we saw, I mean, I don't think I ever saw DJ do that, but like DJ took till 30 to learn how to fucking chip a ball, out driving everybody for the first like 6 years, 7 years we saw him, right? He couldn't hit a chip. He couldn't hit finesse anything. So that's why we're always so impressed when some of these young guys come in and they got hands right away. Like my first take on Brooks, literally, we spoke about it, was like, this guy hits it like DJ, but he can chip and he's like 22 years old. He's got hands. That's like was before Brooks ever won anything. That was a takeaway I had on him. So Aldrich passes the eye test. You do worry about him at venues that will be even harder to chip, but I mean, it's a free pass from me. I mean, the guy did hit it into the trees, and forgetting the betting. This was something my dad said to me last night, Pat. Like he was my dad had no idea who Aldrich was. But by the end of Sunday, he'd watched long enough to know this is some 20-year-old phenom. Like this guy's going to win. It's like a matter of not. It's like when, not if. I don't want to say to Ludwig-esque, but like you see it, like you just see it, like it's just there. So he's like cheering for Campbell because like this guy's never gonna win again. So I got to cheer for this guy. Like the other guy's gonna get his wins, and when Aldrich is like a 10-time PGA Tour winner, he's gonna giggle about that tree. But today it fucking must. I can't imagine he
Well,
withdrew.
yeah, he's already he and Sam Stevens are both WD as of this morning at PGA National. Carl Phillips is back in the field though after he got his Tiger sponsorship.
So I've seen a lot of people when Spieth went in, Phillips got out, and that pissed off a lot of our internet friends, Pat.
I
So
mean,
happy to
this
see.
this tournament is doing much better. The fact that Jordan Spieth is playing in it.
What I mean, that is just beautiful, right? I mean, a few years ago, one year when I was there, I think the year before that we started COVID at the Open, Tiger was like a late addition, and that's always fun. This tournament, we love it. We love it. I don't like that they made the course easier, but I believe they did that last year, so we don't
Yeah.
need to complain about that again.
Yeah, and the scores reflected that last year too, and that's why I think you can like we saw Min Woo put on a classic Min Woo performance where he just drove it everywhere, made some putts, and like couldn't hit an iron. I think that was this tournament So that usually goes with him. Although I was talking to, when I'm laying poolside, I got nothing to do. I'm listening to I wasn't watching the Mexico Open. I was listening to it on the radio. And I actually thought they did a really good job this week, even if
Yes.
they were calling it from somewhere else. And it was Jeff, I forget his last name, Twitter
Band.
pals. Yeah, Eisband. And he was doing a good job. One thing the radio does very poorly is they kind of make it seem like every shot is going in. As soon as someone hits it, it's like, oh my God, here it comes. Like, oh, it rolled 20 feet
The
past.
Keno, there's
But
a few of them that are like really bad at that.
but Jeff did a really good job of being like very realistic about how the shot. Like, here's a chip from like Pot Guider. It's like, oh, it's like that's gonna be outside of 8 feet. Like as soon as he hit it, just like you could see, and he was very good on that call, which I enjoyed that. It didn't get my like expectations up that he was gonna be chipping in every single time.
And to radio, because I do give it a hard time, and you're right, as being out and it not being frigid. I listen to a bit more radio. It's not everyone. It seems like they have like one person on site, right? Because there's got to be someone there to do interviews and some of the other things. But you can tell when they're like throwing to studio calls. And they used to be like the whole teams used to be out there. Now it seems like they just send one guy who will essentially be there for like what happened yesterday, a playoff or duels down the stretch, and post round interviews. But that's about it. Credit to Eisenband. He's new on the crew. I think Mark Wilson was great too. They had a lot of different guys in there this week, but I think Mark Wilson is great. I wish they had him on more, to be honest.
Mark Wilson, former winner of the Honda Classic and the Sony Open.
5-time PGA Tour winner. They let you know a lot. Dennis
Well,
Paulson,
and all of his
2-0
wins
in playoffs, Pat.
But Mark Wilson also never won past March, ever.
Interesting. Whatever. Played his way. I guess they didn't really have like the full thronged FedEx Cup for all of Mark Wilson, but
Now, I believe the last time he won was 2010 at this tournament.
yeah, he's a little guy. If my memory serves me right. It's like a tiny little thing.
Oh, you know who I did run into at the resort? Like, I've ran into 5 separate fans of the show.
Very cool.
That's awesome. I met Chris this morning, so shout out Chris. He told me he was going to listen to this. Like I was walking out of getting breakfast and going to get some coffee. He's like, Pat, what's going on? Like, gotta go record with Jeff.
Nice. That's nice. That always feels good.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And a lot of buzz for the live show. I've been getting some messages about that. Some people are excited. Making
the live show is going to be a blast, and tickets should go on. So like, I'm not doing anything while I'm here, so tickets should go on sale like when I go back. If you're subbed to the newsletter, that'll be like first access. It's a free newsletter, so just hit the description. I don't think my write up this week is going to be super in depth. Not going to lie to you.
And Jaeger all year, case of the lefts. Was it Sony hit it into someone's backyard? Right, that Cam was complaining about a lot. I don't know. I didn't watch as much as I wanted of this week, but let's be real, Pat. We are now in a great spot. We are the farthest away from this tournament for a full year. It is.
I don't mind this. I don't see what everyone's problem with this fucking tournament is. It's fine.
No, the course is horrible.
Who cares? It's a fucking fine. This would be an alternate event.
That's
if
fine.
It wasn't.
I'm just saying. You watch like it is.
Like, what are you complaining about? We see a bunch of guys that we don't normally see. On
I'm not
TV.
complaining.
I like this sort of event.
I'm stating a fact. Now listen. How many events do they play? 50? 40?
40?
Okay, 40. So that's all I'm stating. This would rank 40.
What do you want to do? Send them to Mexico and have guys shoot 7 over par every day?
Nope. Like, that's not what I'm asking.
The U.S. Open in Mexico.
It's just a lot. Nope. I'm just making the point. If we can agree, this is 40 of 40. That's my only point. That's it. They're playing there. It's fine. Oh, it's not fine, but it's 40 of 40. As long as we can come to a common agreement on that, we don't need to debate it anymore. It's the worst course we have to watch all year. We're a year from it.
I mean, I don't think that there's that much difference between this course and like Craig Ranch.
Craig Ranch beat 30 fucking 9. As someone else runs. This is Pokeroo Craig Ranch. It's Craig Rancheroo.
I think it's a perfect type of course for what this tournament is. You're sending hold on. you're sending a whole bunch of people like barely with status. You'll get like 4 or 5 decent players. They get to go to Mexico with their families at a really nice 5-star
Get
resort,
it.
by the way. Like they don't want it to be a taxing week. It's kind of like a nice little bonus for these guys that don't get to play in some of the other events. Like, why send them down there? Just like, it's a hit and giggle, man. Just go have some fun. Don't drink the
Okay.
water.
I didn't mean it to be as offensive as it came off at the start. I just want to acknowledge I think it's the worst we play all year. That I don't even, it's not even worth arguing about. But everything you said is absolutely right. And it's also like a glorified Corn Ferry field. And when we don't have the Rom or Finau here, and I do believe Akshay was the class, and there were moments where he showed it, but there's inconsistencies still there with him. You almost want to bet guys who you've seen win a ton on Corn Ferry because these are the numbers they get to regularly on Corn Ferry to win. So, yeah, and it was fun. Like I'm sure guys like, if TC was watching, get to see a guy like Celinda for the first time. Look good. Some
Yeah,
three putt from 13 feet, but as you mentioned, 3 putts happen here.
Yeah, and he got himself into the field this week too. I actually like Celinda for where
Bay
did they
Hill.
go? Not the one the week before, not Valero, the other. I guess no, they got rid of that other stupid course for Houston. Maybe Houston actually would be a spot for him. I worry about like any course that's full send driver because I used him on DraftKings this week, which was great. He was actually my best player because I didn't use any pot guider, and obviously I didn't have Campbell, but I had him. So he carried a lot of my like Aaron Rye, Steven Yager teams because he was the guy
Yeah.
at the very bottom. But I also used him like when I won in Showdown at Torrey, I had used him at Torrey. Like he just bombs it. So any course that's like full send driver is where you want to play him. I don't know if here like full send driver would be good here, obviously. I don't know if he has the rest of the game to like compete at this. I mean, it's not as difficult of a course like you mentioned as it has been in past years. I just don't know if this is the spot for him.
I would agree with that. And according to the radio, it would take like an utter miracle for him to not make Bay Hill after his result yesterday. Like it would take like a 40 golfer parlay of
Oh,
results to get him out of Bay Hill, I assume, on the Aon Swing 5.
you gotta figure out who's in that right now. Aeon. I assume it's like Michael Kim,
And Campbell and
Campbell
Celinda.
now. That's the Aeon next 10, so that's Nick Taylor. I guess Michael Kim, Sam Stevens, and Berger and Patrick Rogers and now Brian Campbell are actually in on the next 10. Like they've played their way into that. So the Aeon Swing 5 is Pot Geiter, Celinda, Ben Griffin, Joel Damon, and Nikolai Hojgaard are the ones who are in right now. So like Campbell's in either way at this point because he's so high up in the next 10.
Yeah, and that probably goes to how Celinda's like locked in because Campbell or Potgieter would have been locked in with their win.
You just even to see the guys who are like behind him in the standings right now, like you would take like Danny Walker to come in second or something stupid like that in order to bump him out. So he'll probably be in. I do want to talk TGL before we jump over to PGA National. So there's 3 matches this week. There's LA against New York, which is up first. That is tonight's match. Is there 2 tonight or is there 1 tonight? I always get this confused.
I think there's
There's 2 one of the days. There's either 2 tonight or 2 tomorrow night. Let's see. Match 11 is no. So there's 2 tonight. So Finau is just randomly on TGL now. He's on this LA team.
Well, it's not fair in some respects, but Fleetwood and who else? There's 2 guys, 2 Europeans, I think, on the LA team that have a different obligation and they can't make it. And yeah, they just can call up Finau. And I saw our boy Kirshner tweet like, this bullshit. You mean the Jupiter Lynx could have gotten rid of one of their senior tour members at any time and called up like a real golfer? Not, Tiger's that's a shrapnel for Tiger, but we all know where that's getting directed. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't want this to poorly affect the Bay and our win it all chances. No, Finau's going to get to play playoff matches. I don't really know what's up with that. I don't care. I'm pretending to care. I don't actually give a shit.
Well, we only care because we want our Bay GC to win our bets, to win it all. But LA's probably the second best team. Like Atlanta luck sacked everything with Justin Thomas.
If Liv can add Anthony Kim, TGL can add Tony Finau.
Oh, I
mid-season.
don't care that they can add them.
Yeah.
That like
No, I
what
know, I
I was
know.
talking to
I'm
you
playing
before the
around.
show. What's that?
I'm just playing. I'm just being silly. I know no one. I don't think anyone cares. I
No, that
don't.
well, I mean that's the advantage that TGL has, I think, over Live in a weird way, is that Live is like that magicians union that Job was a part of in Arrested Development. They demand to be taken seriously. TGL doesn't care if it's taken seriously. They know it's for they changed the rules like last week with the new hammer rules. Like, hey, this will make it more fun. Let's just do this instead. And the players are like, sure, why not?
I mean, they had the worst case scenario happen. A guy flushed the ball. It doesn't register. Sometimes balls don't spin. Yeah, no one actually gives a shit. And
No, and we
maybe
bet on this, and it's still fun. Just bet the Bay every time, or bet LA. Like LA as a bet at minus 125 against this New York team, which is pretty terrible. Like New York, Boston, and Tigers team are like by far the three worst teams, and then LA, Atlanta, and the Bay are the three good teams. I think we figured that out now.
yeah, I mean, hey, been it seems like a clear delineation in power rankings in the TGL, but like I said off the top, it's Monday, it's Tuesday, they don't go head to head with football. They don't go head to head with the Genesis either, right? Like they I don't know. For a gimmick golf league, they're currently number one in my gimmick golf circuit rankings is TGL. And I tell you, I promise you, I'm hard. I want to be hard on both. But it's kind of hard to be hard on the TGL in some respects.
So you can parlay together. You can go LA to win tonight, parlayed with Atlanta to win tonight. They're both minus 125. And then you can just put the Bay with them tomorrow night if you want to. Those are the three. I was 2 for 3 last week. We're going to go because we lost to a Justin Thomas chip in overtime. And that match was won by, I think it was LA last week. And they lost the last second to Atlanta. Just go LA, Atlanta, the Bay. Just take the three good teams. They're playing the three bad teams. Put them all together. Go 3-0. Count your money.
I mean, it's incredible how the talking around the TGL after that Monday of three events.
Well, nothing was on either. It's the opposite. Like, isn't Liv playing this week in Hong Kong or something?
Yeah,
Going
they
up against
are. Yeah.
like they're going up against they could have went up against Mexico last week. Not that I guess it would have made a difference because they seem to pick just the worst ideas, like the worst tournaments to go against, and they don't take the easy pickings. It makes no sense.
Yeah, and listen, Honda is also low hanging fruit, but I think to golf fans, it has I mean, even last week turned into compelling on a board, like, right? The magic still does not remain for sale in some respects, and we saw that play out yesterday. Um, and the Honda, I mean, at the I don't even want to compare them because the time difference is so like wide that it shouldn't affect either. But to your point, Pat, what it's about is the bandwidth of golf fans and golf media and general sports media. Their bandwidth for golf is only so big. So when you're playing the week of the Genesis, you're just the dumbest fucks ever. There's not a big enough bandwidth of sporting golf attention to give you any flower, even if you do something right. Like Adelaide is a success, but the bandwidth for golf isn't big enough to go ahead against the Genesis. And I don't even know if the bandwidth for golf is big enough to go head to head on the same week as the Honda, but that's probably an unfair comment from me. I'll lean back on that a little, but let's just say overall the bandwidth for golf is not large enough to include live. It's just not from fans and media alike, other than the 8% of us.
Maybe I think you're right, and I can only speak to North America about that. Like, I don't know how it's doing worldwide. I doubt it's doing all that great. And Live doesn't really, despite being a world tour, that's what they're trying to label themselves as. They don't really seem to care about the rest of the world. They only seem to care about the U.S., which is weird.
I know. I'm sure some people would fight you on that, but I'm not too familiar with some of their ongoings. I do know the local TV numbers in Australia were down.
Yeah, but
But
what?
I didn't deep dive that. I don't even know. Like I'm not even familiar with any of the goings on there. On this note, though, if you want to stick with it for just a moment, because it always fascinates me. Obviously, more meetings at the White House last year. last week. And by all accounts, Pat, this is like a deal that is done other than like the fine tuning. Like apparently money is no longer being what's negotiated. It is the hard lines of what it will look like, the unification, the who gets to play. Like it is the and I think like we said, you've noted it a couple times. Maybe you and Keith spoke about it. I haven't had a chance to watch it. I don't know if you've released it.
It's not out yet. That's why.
The PGA just maybe we want to see what happens with these Bryson and Brooks contracts. But if it doesn't, right now the PGA has all the leverage. Like it just feels that way. The winds are all pulling with them. But let's say, things do fall apart and then Liv just comes back next summer, signs a bunch of other superstars who are struggling to win on the PGA Tour. And they're just like, you know what? I haven't won a tournament since Liv started. I'm going to go take this fucking money to finish in fourth place because it sounds fucking awesome. And they're just going to sign like a plethora of young players. Like that could be their triple down. And then we're back to them having like the momentum and desperate for some sort of a deal. So it does seem like some levels of this are like done, but it is both sides have their feet in the sand on like they're on things that they demand from how it will look. The money is done, but the formatting of it is the problem, apparently.
All right. Let's move on to Honda. Talk about it. Cognizant Classic.
But Keith spoke about it. I'll get to hear Keith talk about it.
Sort of. He doesn't really know what's going on. No one knows what's going on.
Right.
And I tried to transition where the ad is supposed to go. Now you being quiet doesn't help that now. Now it seems crazy. I'm not there in studio to produce this myself. So I'm trying to give some easy outs to the producers.
Sorry,
Appreciate it. Thanks. Welcome to the TGL presented by SoFi, golf's newest league. It's sharp. It's electric. How sharp is it? How electric is it? Good questions. Try this on for size. 2 hours of hammer dropping overtime, forcing playoffs on the line, golf, with 24 of the best players from the PGA Tour, split into 6 teams: Atlanta, Boston, Jupiter, LA, New York, and the Bay Golf Club. This isn't your average Sunday pickup game. Tune into TGL Monday or Tuesday night only on ESPN. Claim yourself a seat for the first season of TGL now. Keep up. It's golf. Honda. Cognizant Classic. How long is like the statute of limitations on calling it Honda? Are we with Cust still calling the LA Rams St. Louis like 10 years later?
Forever. I don't give a shit. I will not budge. When I call it Cognizant, it's by accident. It is an accident. It's still the Sky Dome to me. Okay. And maybe this one holds even like harder vibes because of my Palm Beach ties. Kind of been going to the event a ton over the years. Like it just feels in a way like the Canadian Open changed its name from Bell to RBC. I don't know. I didn't give a shit. Bell, RBC. This one, maybe Cognizant, is hard to say. I don't give a shit. Forever, Honda. I won't let it die.
Well, the favorites in the field, we talked about them off the hop, but it's Henley and Lowry are at the top at 22 to 25, but usually 22 wherever you see them. Sungjae's 24, Berger's 24, Straka's 27. Then you got Pendrith, Minwoo, Denny, Ben An, Cam Young, your guy, Keith Mitchell, former winner here. They're all between 30 and 40. Then it's into Spieth at 45, which I thought was a shocking number. Not that he deserves to be any better than that, but in this field, when you insert Spieth into it, like if you had made him 20 to 1, people would have bet him.
I would have been so excited to fade him.
And Davis Thompson coming off 2.5 good rounds at Torrey's 45. Grazerman, who everyone's kind of forgotten about, he's at 45. Michael Kim, Kitayama, Eckrout, last year's winner, Glover, Ricky, Woodland, Horschel, P-Raj, Smalley, Spawn. We're into this range of like all those guys are 50 or 55 to 1. Like they just don't know. I've made 2 bets so far. Like I opened it up. I'm just going to keep rolling with Nikolai Hojgaard, who was great off the tee and on approach, but could not make a short putt. But he's 65 to 1 again, and he was fantastic tee to green in Mexico. And I bet Rosner again. Rosner's now 150 to 1. He was great off the tee. His approaches were fine. He couldn't chip or putt in Mexico. It was his first start or second start, whatever it was, in North America. Now let's get him on the East Coast, get him on Bermuda, see if that changes everything. But I think for a player of his skill level, I'm willing to roll the dice on him again with 150 to 1 with 8 placement points.
Having not made a bet, I cannot wait to bet. Like, I just don't know who. I don't feel like anyone's numbers have really even moved. There's someone who I was considering betting. I saw last night was a 50, today's a 70. So I'm happy. That website doesn't even really let me bet on Sunday night anyway. But yeah, I can't wait to just bet between like 40 and 70 to 1.
Who sticks out to you though? Because I was thinking like Sung Jae's approach play has been so bad this year, but he's still 24. And he does feel sort of like the class. Straka is Cust one and done pick, by the way. He's 27 to 1. I actually was looking at Pendrith. Like
Yeah.
Pendrith is someone everyone loved at Farmers.
What am I looking
And
at?
he just had a bad week. Like whatever. Sometimes you have a bad week. He actually had a very nice final round. But everyone was willing to pump Pendrith down to like 40 to 1 at the Genesis in an elevated event. Now he's back on Bermuda, coming off a bad putting week, which is atypical for him. And now he's like 10 points more than he was at an elevated event against a bunch of goobers. Like I feel like we should bet him.
Yeah, I like Pendrith. I like well, Pendrith is a little lower than the guys I was looking at, but of the higher price players, it's Pendrith and Im would be the ones that I would be considering.
Is this too much too soon for Berger? Because I know that we wanted to bet him here, but now he's 24 to 1.
I am not doing it. It just like you said, it just seems maybe like spoke about like Henley like feeling due. This is like that's like 10x this, but I don't know. The natural progression, it's like 150 to 1, 80 to 1, 30 to 1 win. I'm almost like just betting against that. And I am such a big Burger fan, but this thing just doesn't come that easy. Winning is so fucking hard. You don't just like ride the trajectory and win. You fucking just win when people don't think you're gonna win. That's how this stupid thing works.
I thought it was strange to see Straka at 27 and Berger at 24, considering
Agreed.
Straka's won 3 times in the past 3 years or something, and just
So I
won.
think Burker's been bet actually pretty hard this morning. People just
I
want
can
to
see
do
like
it.
I get every
Yeah.
reason why you'd want to bet Berger, but now classifying him as a favorite at a course where he almost cashed us that 100 to 1 ticket when Patty Harrington beat him in the playoff here when we first heard of Daniel Berger and he was having the good trend line, but and we always thought this would be a course where he'd win. I'm with you. I don't want to find out at sub 30 when there's just better players who are deeper.
And it's weird because as someone that actually trusts Berger, and you like to make fun of me sometimes when I trust him. So, like, this might sound dumb, but I actually do trust him where I don't mind betting him at like 120 to 1 against like way better fields. I don't want to be in this. Um, and I like him so much. And I've had a decent start to the season where if he does win, I will just be like really happy for him. Unless it clips one of my bets at the line, I'll just be like, I'm happy for him. I'm happy he's back. I'm happy he's winning. I can't wait to annoy Pat with Burger for Ryder Cup stuff through the spring and summer, if any semblance of the play remains. So I would be so excited for him to win. But like you, Straka, same number. I'd probably be on Straka. Im to swallow a couple points.
It's just, I'm looking at it at the same number as Sungjae.
Yeah, I would. Okay, same number as Sungjae. It's not even a debate for me. And I would just tip my cap to a player I love in DB. What's he called? Oh my God, straight vibing, right? Oh, it's hometown event for him. No, I don't like. Comes home now, all his friends and family are expecting him to win. Not expecting him, but yeah, no. I'll give me some not random, but just feed me my international betting card. Can't wait.
Yeah, I don't want to do too much here. Like, obviously, I'm away, so I might just fire some picks at the end. Maybe I'll release a short video of me doing it on Wednesday, and maybe I'll just put them out in the newsletter. Sub for free to the newsletter, Mayo Media Substack, link down in the description. I'll make a Twitter article out of it as well. But yeah, for me, like Pendrith is going to be a bet. Would you bet Spieth here?
No,
Why not?
I'd rather bet Ben Griffin.
Why?
I don't trust Jordan.
Will you trust Ben Griffin?
Nope, but I'd rather bet Ben Griffin. I feel like I'm not saying I'm even betting Ben Griffin. He looks like Brandon Staley. He's like a Staley Kuchar mix. Um, and so I just every time I see his face, it just annoys me because I hate Brandon Staley's face. People in New Orleans, Pat, they've been through some shit, like some heavy shit. They did not deserve that. They've been through so much in that town in our life. They just something they didn't deserve. Um, yeah, I don't, but I'm saying I would like probably pick Ben Griffin to beat Spieth in a head to head.
Would
And
you?
If Spieth
But
was
why? But
20,
like,
if Spieth
why?
was,
Why? Oh, you're just like I don't like Spieth here. But why wouldn't you like Spieth here? Like, is there a reason?
I think it's all very like finicky. I
Sure, but like
trust,
if we're talking about guys that can win from this range, if Spieth basically has the week that he had in Phoenix, he probably wins this tournament.
okay, but me banking on Jordan Spieth doing that again, I'm not willing to trust it.
Versus who though? Like you expect Alex Smalley to not continue to not putt? That I would do.
Yeah, that's another guy who I would bet to win ahead of Jordan Spieth.
But why? The guy can't make a 2 foot putt.
Your points are fair. If your whole thing is I'm betting Jordan Spieth because it's 40-1 and that's surrounded by guys who don't win ever, that's fine. But in the last like 4 years, they're not much different in terms of that.
They
At
are,
some
but at least we still see the spikes from Spieth, and it is a bit unfair, honestly, with Spieth in some of these things. Like he plays in the good events and doesn't play well in them. Usually, when he goes to like these jabroni events, he plays pretty well.
if he played well, seemed like he should play well. I wish he was priced in the 20s. Like I'd have fired the whole range against him head to head.
I also thought it was weird. We have like a Smalley. I just don't think Smalley can putt enough to win. And maybe now that this is an easier tournament, maybe that's actually worse for him because if the winning score would have been -8, that may have played a bit more into his strengths. But Billy Horschel's just sitting there at 55-1. Like he's actually a guy who wins.
Yes. That is one I have stared at, didn't bet. I just don't bet. I don't know. Yeah. I got nothing. I got no ability to besmirch that one. Is he not on the in the field?
Who?
I just can't get the model to show me properly.
Who are you trying to find?
No, I know Spieth is in the field, but I just can't find him on the.
Yeah, it hasn't been updated for the odds this morning as of the time that we're doing this.
Yeah, I just wanted to like find something to pick on, but I don't know. I like Rivers as a Min Woo 40. I'd bet that over Spieth.
Yeah, I feel like that's like the territory. I found the number to be somewhat surprising for what I still perceive his win equity to be versus a bunch of these guys who simply do not win in front of him.
That's fair. Like, do I want to bet Ben An over Jordan Spieth?
I mean, you would bet Ben An over Jordan Spieth. I know you would, but do you really want to do that?
I don't want to bet either of them.
Would you like Cam Young? You want to bet Cam Young? You do, don't you? I can hear it. I can hear it through my terrible webcam with no lighting in a faraway land. I know you want to bet Cam Young again.
Yeah, I want to. There's a 50, but I don't know that I will get there. I'm probably more intrigued by like you said it near the top. Gracerman just kind of feels forgotten. And I wouldn't say 50 is forgotten, but that's one. Yeah, I'm just gonna bet a bunch of losers. Kitayama, it's like chalk last week.
He missed the cut, didn't he?
I think so. I think so.
I remember I had Sam Stevens. Like he was like Sam Stevens was my like one guy. Him and because I ended up just betting KH Lee at a deep number later on in the week, and he missed the cut on the number. I think Kitayama missed it on the number as well, and Stevens was just out of it. He had a terrible week, and he withdrew again this week. So maybe there's something wrong with him. But other than that, like
Billy might be the fairest bet on the board. To be honest,
honestly, the reason that I bet Hojgaard because I think his number is actually the best of all these guys.
60?
65.
Yeah.
And it's not like he's coming off of statistically, he's coming off of 2 great weeks. Like he gained a ton on approach in Phoenix. And he actually made some putts there. Couldn't really putt this week. He was below average, but like I listened, just even on Sunday, listening to him miss the shorties for birdie on very gettable holes. But Tee to green, he was, I think, second in the field last week. He gained a ton off the tee, gained a ton on approach. You do have to worry that dude likes to get wet, and he might just spray it off the tee somewhere crazy, which is not great for a tournament like this. So he could shoot, I don't know, 12 over one of these rounds. But if we're thinking about wins, like dude's game is pretty close. And he's still getting treated like he sucks versus his brother when, again, they're basically the same guy.
Basically the same guy. If they had the same haircut, they would be the same guy. I've seen a lot of love for Paul's boy Novak this week in the early goings.
I think, well, he was top five here last year, I think.
Um, uh, who did Ekra won by a lot, right?
He won by 3 over
It was on a
Minwoo.
Monday.
Minwoo, Cam Young, he beat. Cam Young was up there. Lowry, Jake Knapp actually had another good week. That's one thing that I did want to roll forwards is that just taking a look at last year's tournament, one sec here, that guys who did well in Mexico kind of translated it over into this event last year. Like obviously Knapp won, he came fourth. I went over this more on the research show. So you have those guys, and who else did we have? Oh, David Skins. There's David Skins. Hey, KH Lee was fourth at this tournament last year, too. EVR was top 10 in Mexico last year, was second here to Eckroat again. Let's see. Novak was eighth in Mexico last year. Then he was ninth at this tournament. You know, Noren was top 10 here. What happened to Alex Noren? Does he play golf anymore?
He's been battling an injury.
Are you
Neck
sure?
or something. Yeah, for sure. I remember the Underdog tweet from like 2 months ago. He's
Okay.
been out.
Like Gim was top 20 in both events. It looks like Nico did pretty well in both events. Like there's been a lot of guys. So I was just kind of trying to look at the
So
leaderboard from Mexico to be like, hey, is there like Smalley would obviously qualify for
Griffin,
this sort of
Smalley.
thing that I'm talking about. Hojgaard would be another one. Ben Griffin would obviously be another one of guys who were in the field this week. Damon's in the field, isn't he?
I haven't scrolled. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I can find that out. Let's see.
I'm looking. I'm just
Joel
going to
Damon.
confirm the Noren thing right now.
Yeah, like Joel Damon's 140 to 1 this week. Like if you want to find some guys in decent form, I think just looking at last week really does help here because it's a similar field with slightly better names at the top.
Yeah, so that's why you got to be tempted by like guys you liked last week who now have bigger numbers. Because
I
in
wish
some
Rye was playing here. This seems like such an Aaron Rye course.
oh, he would be amazing here. He'd be
Do you know
amazing.
who led all players in an approach last week?
It wasn't
You can just say
Smalley.
no.
I'm
You can
just
say
trying.
no if you don't know.
I don't know. I was thinking about it because I heard it on the radio. It sounds like something that came up, but okay, just lay it on me.
Heinrich Norlander was your winner of strokes gained approach. 10.2 cash. Paul, a nice top 20 bet live going through it as well. I was surprised by that. Smalley actually lost strokes on approach last week.
No, it just seemed like he was missing 6 footers for birdie the whole time.
He gained putting, lost on approach, and gained the most off the tee of any player in the field.
So as for Noren, it's not a neck thing. It's a hamstring glute tear before the century.
Ooh, that's rough.
Yeah, hopeful to return soon. That's from January from Underdog.
Interesting. Yeah, other than that, like I don't have a Pearson Cootie's in the field.
Oh,
What?
you know who might be a decent shot here?
Tell
80,
me. We're doing a show about it.
80 to 1. Just want to have
80.
it up. Lee Hodges.
I was looking at Hodges pretty deeply this morning when I was going through everything. Like, why is it that you like him? Because like in my numbers show him like top 5 in the field, basically.
He's been other than Phoenix, like he's just been playing pretty consistent golf lately. You can trust him on the greens, can trust him with the approaches. Just seems like for this field, for this number, um, I don't know, 80 seems pretty freaking high.
Yeah, has some nice like spike finishes as well. Like 16th at the Zozo, 8th in Utah, 5th at the RSM, top 10s at Sony and Farmers so far this year. Like I can get on board with that. He has some big putting rounds though, which is really atypical for him because he's usually a crappy putter.
He's been putting well, but it's a
Yeah,
lot of like it's a lot of hit and miss. He'd been playing well, lost strokes for the first time in a while at Waste Management, and finally like had his first sub 35th place finish. But
I saw
yeah,
Kenny put out that like Power is a pretty good look at 75 to 1. I was interested somewhat in Harry Hall now that he's back down to being like a loser in a field. He's 75 to 1 again.
yeah, see, that sort of has my attention, right? The guy who was like 33 last week is now 70. He was horrible on the greens, I think.
Which
I
is
don't know, I
not
just saw a
normal
bunch of
for him.
tweets of I actually didn't follow him at all. I only followed Harry Hall through Byron just being mean to him on Twitter.
Let's see. He lost strokes on approach, gained one on the greens, and chipped in a bunch of times. He came in 34th last week. Like it wasn't bad. It's not like trending for him to say that this dude is going to win, but I just thought that was somewhat interesting that he fell down the board so far after being up there for the first like 9 events of the season. The one problem with Hodges and the problem with Hall is they don't hit their long irons very well. They hit their wedges a lot better, and there's just a lot of longer irons this week into it. That's why I like Hojgaard so much because he blasts those.
So, yeah. And last week, like I fell into something that was really stupid, but I tried to get cocky and just like call a guy, and I'm sure we've all been guilty of that. Like I bet the Niklas Norgard Miller, but like at 50 to 1, which in hindsight, like the books, sometimes with these Europeans, Pat, like the books give you like an introductory discount. But I just bet a guy where like it was all I don't want to even say hype because I don't even know that the guy had hype, but I was like I was overpaying for that, if that makes any sense. And that like after I gave the pick, I was like, I think that was really dumb. But I was already in with the bet and I said it on the show, so I didn't want to backtrack. But guys like him and Jesper Svensson last week, you just feel like we they were priced too fair. Well, always unfairly. But like we weren't getting any juice with them. And maybe I could find some bigger numbers this time around.
Sure. I mean, that's why I like Rosner again. His number went down. I was like, okay, sure.
Yeah. Like Svensson was 60 last week. He's 100 this week.
Trying to find the players that were the best tee to green that just didn't end up performing all that well. Lonto, Ben Martin, Kevin Yu. Poor Kevin Yu. Dude couldn't putt all week and was actually quite good tee to green. Toasty was kind of the one. If Toasty had just made some putts, he would have won last week.
I'm going really down this board now. Oh my God. Yes. So bear off. The amount of Danny Willett sweet nothings I've gotten from Bear Off since
He
last
was
night.
he was putting it through me too. It was like, all right, let's calm down here a little bit.
Yeah, I kind of like ignored him on the outright, and then he came back telling me I should play the each way. I mean, I'm not if I do play Willett, it probably would be with an each way. He did get 500. I'm seeing it like gotten crushed. I don't know if he got the each way at 500, but we didn't talk about it at the time. But he's such a friend of the show that I've been waiting a month. I don't know if he's played since. I think he played the week after, but Willett finished top 10 at Farmers.
I remember live betting him once he got into the clubhouse. Like, hey, I bet him at like 5,000 to 1 to win under the assumption like, hey, if this gets really hard, everyone just comes back to him.
But
Didn't happen, obviously, but I like playing that sometimes at a tough course like that.
And it's a tough guy to figure out because why wouldn't he have played since the Farmers? I know there's things he's not in, but if he's healthy, I want him golfing.
I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, he has not played. He played the Amex and he played the Farmers, and that's been it. Now he's playing this week. Getting prepping for the Masters.
Now I do say that like maybe he's teed it up in on a Europe event, but I
No,
doubt
he
he's
has
been to
not.
Africa. I
No,
doubt
he
went
has
to
not.
Africa.
He has not teed up since then.
Mm. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe Willett at like 350 with placings isn't crazy. Off a
Listen,
night.
I make bets that lose every single time. So you don't have to tell me good bet, bad bet. If I bet it, it's going to lose. That's how I feel right now.
Hey, listen, if Brian Campbell won a major like 9 years ago and you were on him at a huge number and we're still betting him a decade later, like if that's how you fell into the win, good for you. Um, I'm still trying to figure out how that guy fell into that. But
It
still,
kind
like,
of sucks. I mean, it sucks for everyone that had Aldrich because it's so devastating of a loss. But if it was versus a guy that no one had money on, it would be a really awesome story in our world, at least.
no, no one. I've seen one ticket.
No, but like, but if it wasn't, if it didn't actively take money out of the
Oh,
pockets of everyone in our community, like with a big bet on their hands. If it was just against some other guy that no one had bet on, you'd be like, man, it's pretty cool. This guy at 300 to 1 won after slicing it into the trees and it bouncing back out. Like, what a
yeah. So,
win.
so I kind of tried to allude to that at the top. Like, not having bet Aldrich actually allowed me to enjoy that guy winning, where I don't think a lot of our friends are able to appreciate any part of it. And I totally respect why that would be the case. Um,
I think I'm going to bet Michael Kim again. Friend of the show, 50 to 1. Second in bogey avoidance over the past 50 rounds, too, which is something I am going to emphasize this week.
I think I might, having not made a bet yet, I could see myself over betting this week.
Well, it sounds like you like 20 guys. You're gonna have to whittle it down. But I guarantee you your card's gonna end up being like Berger, Sepp,
No,
Minwoo,
no, Pat.
Cam Young,
I know you might be shocked by this. Like
Cole
obviously
Hostler.
Genesis was a pretty hardened, like I bet it like a US Open with some of the names. Starting at 30 though. I've been good. My winners, like I've hit a 65 and 100 to 1. Like I am feel good about flooding the zone. I Minwoo, yes. The Minwoo 40 seeing on rivers, and if I wait it out a little longer, maybe can get enhanced if I don't without losing it. They don't give me a full dollar for dollar cash out. So sometimes, right, like some sites do, which makes it easier to pull on a number that you're not fully confident in, like you're hoping could get better, but think could get worse. That's too many words. I don't even know which player I was talking about now.
No, neither do
Meanwhile,
I. I'm very confused. I'm just asking you, like you're just gonna bet like the four guys that I mentioned. And
no,
Grazer
I'm not. I
probably.
don't think I'm betting Berger. I would rather bet Pendrith. I would rather bet Straka, and I would rather bet right now. I would bet Sung J M at the same price or swallow 2 points over Daniel Berger, like easily. I'm
No
not
Denny?
going.
A lot of people telling me Denny's gonna win.
Yeah, Denny off that nice. You know what? I hadn't thought about him, but
I'm not thinking about it. If he wants to win, he'll be there
what's
without
his
me.
number? Like 30?
35.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna say, oh my god, my book just flashed Eric Cole's number dropping. Okay, good for those people.
He seemed pretty steep, honestly, for a guy who this is one of like the courses where he should do well based on his game. His game's just not great right now.
Well, Pat, we know a guy who's got an Eric Colcane problem, and you guarantee that Colcane problem shows up in Palm Beach. Because if you're an Eric Cole rider, you have to ride in Palm Beach. Like you can't
100%.
fail in Palm Beach. It's like mandatory Colcaning, triple lines.
There's a few other dudes like just right around Horschel. Like Spawn's been good lately. I don't know what to make of Harmon, but he's 55. Bezadenhout is 65. I don't think I get to any of those guys, but they're not totally dissimilar from some like how much better and or worse are those guys than Denny, honestly, to win. Not to come top 10, not to come top 20 or make the cut, but to win this tournament outright. I'd rather bet Brian Harmon than bet Denny McCarthy.
I would agree, even if someone doesn't really like to pull the trigger on a Brian Harmon. But that seems like a very fair number. On a guy who could plot around here well. Did Ricky do anything in Phoenix? Like, has he been okay this year?
Ricky, I'm sure he signed some autographs for some kids on his way out the door.
You know what? I don't want you to laugh, but he did sign and gave my friend of mine in San Diego sent me a picture of his kid with Ricky Fowler. So Ricky's still getting the job done.
You have
Jokes
to remember that
aside.
he withdrew from Phoenix, remember? Because he was playing so poorly.
Oh yeah, he was in the camo.
And then he was bad at Genesis. So, shocker. Patrick Rogers, now that everyone's like over, everyone bet him last week after coming off the good Torrey Pines week. He's back down to like 55 in that like Vegas Griffin Smalley zone. And he was shockingly good, tee to green, last week. He didn't make putts, which is something that he normally does.
Before quick picks, can you just tell me how you're like weighting the skill sets this week?
I mean, you can watch my research show,
Okay, I could.
or you could
I
sub to the newsletter where I post that in there.
All right. I am subbed and I do watch most of the research shows. I should have watched. I guess I was out with the kids a bit. I usually do find my way to watching them. Um,
I can tell you right now.
Even if I don't
I
watch it, Pat, I swear to you, I will still 98% of the time give you a like and a click.
appreciate that. That's all I need from you, the peoples out there. But I weighted like ball striking pretty highly, distance at 70% of what fairways are, but I weighted both of them. And then like long irons. Just can you not bogey the really hard holes over and over? Can you make pars on those? And the extra distance leads you to like it's a par 71 now, so that adjusted the scores from when it was a par 70. But like if you can eat up the par fives, you're gonna be there in the end. Like if you just score on par fives, you'll be great.
If we did this show like 2 years ago, 4 years ago, I swear we would have said, I just want to bet a guy who I think can shoot two under every day, and then I'm in it on Sunday. But
Agreed.
that is not really the case. We need more juice now.
Quick picks for the Cognizant Classic. I'm going to bet Pendrith at 30, Horschel at 55, Hojgaard at 65, and Rosner at 150 with those 8 places. That's what I'm doing for right now. We'll see how the rest goes. I'll probably end up betting stupid Clanton again at 70 to 1 or something. But if he makes the cut, he gets his tour card again.
Well, they finally put names up on Rivers. I'm going to bet Lee Hodges at 80, and I've just bet a Hojgaard the last couple weeks, so we'll stick with that. Nikolai, 65 to 1, and I'm swimming. I can't wait. Min Woo, 40. I don't have the ability to resist something like that. We'll have full disclosure. I'm not gonna lie, guys like Alex Smalley and Brandon Staley are kind of staring me in the face.
One and done picks. You had actually the best week in the one and done last week with Nikolai Hojgaard because he was better than Rasmus Hojgaard. He was better than Michael Kim for me. So it is your pick, although Cust has taken Seb Straka.
I think that's where I was gonna go. I'll take Russell Henley.
I'll take Shane Lowry.
Yeah, I mean, I think we did the right thing here.
Actually, you know what? I'm not. I'm going to take Nikolai Hojgaard.
Let's do it. I took him. I took him last week just because Tim took Rasmus. Did Tim at any point think he had the other Hojgaard?
I don't know. I don't know how. I mean, it's not like
You were away. You were
I'm
away.
away. I'm on vacation. I'm just sitting here.
Yeah. Fair enough. You weren't. So yeah. Um. You always know, like when your buddy's on vacation at a nice place, but he's just hammering the group chat all day. Like, buddy, like go for a walk.
Yeah, go hang out.
Go for
I've
a
tried
walk.
to.
Go hang out with your wife. What are you doing?
I laid in the sun, put in an earbud, just listen to the broadcast next to the pool. It was awesome.
Yeah, that sounds lovely. I'm jealous of you. Have a wonderful week. I just want to shout out. I got great feedback from the show we did last week with Tim. My NFL end of season not power rankings, fan headspace rankings, the compliments, the criticisms. I appreciated all of them. I saw them all, be it on the comments to videos or people sending me messages. I enjoyed doing that show. I appreciated the feedback. Thanks, friends.
All right. Well, that will do it for me. Rest of the week, it's not like we don't have shows. I have an audio only show coming out on Friday, I believe. It's a take cast that I did with Davis, but the video is going to be up on his channel tomorrow on the Pat Mayo Experience. Cust Corner 50, all brand new. Cust, Garion, and myself, as I mentioned before, Keith Stewart with me on Wednesday for a State of the Union, kind of like what has happened the first few months of the season on the PGA Tour and his tales from inside the rope. And then Thursday is the best of Mayo, Pizzola, and Cam. So should at least give you some laughs. All right. I'll still be trying to put out a newsletter that might come out on Wednesday. We'll see. I might put it out on Tuesday, but whenever I get around to doing it, it will end up coming out. So check your inboxes. The tickets for the live show will be first put in there as well once those are available. So you smash the like, you sub to the channel. If you want to get a free annual membership to Fantasy National, get in the draw by leaving your winner in the comment section here on YouTube, on Spotify, or on Apple. That will help us out a bunch. All right, I'm Pat Mayo. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!